I am not an expert on growing orchids, but I do love them, and my husband gave me this one 2 or 3 years ago for Valentine's Day. And you can see that it has roots growing out of it, and it didn't bloom this year. I was very upset, so I need to repot it. I think that that's probably the problem. So I got this orchid pot. You can see it is made of clay so that it's super breathable. It also has holes in it because orchids like to have air and circulation into their roots. And I love that it also comes with a clay saucer. And then I ordered this premium orchid soil. Now, orchid soil is very dry and very different than regular potting soil. So the directions say, and this came with the direction sheet, it tells you exactly what to do and everything, which I absolutely love. And I'm concerned that I might have gotten a pot that was a little bit too big, because this is my pot, and it said to, look at that, I've got a great big root here, but it said to get it 1 to 2 inches bigger than the original pot that it's in, and this one is quite a bit bigger, but we're gonna go with it. So here's my orchid, and then it says to pour, let me move that over some, whoops, I got a little piece that I broke off it. So it says to pour this out, and this has moss, it's quite a mixture, and then there's big chunky bark like that, and then we have stones. So you can see that everything in here is pretty big, and then there's some flat white stones, but it said to mix everything together, and everything is very dry and dusty. Take that out. And then there's more moss in the bottom. There we go. So there's quite a bit of moss, but it said to mix everything together. And then to get, and I thought that the moss went on top, but it didn't say that. It said to mix it together with the other things. But this is, I mean, you can see this is very chunky, and this is lightweight. So this is not stone. It reminds me kind of dry mulch. Okay, so I'm gonna get this pulled apart here pretty good. Excuse me, this is very dusty and very dry. Okay, and then it says, take your plant. There we go. And it says to take all of the old stuff off. And this is actually kind of moist. Sorry, it's very dusty. If the dust bothers you, you can get a mask. But I can see where my old roots have died. Like, they are rotten. They are not green like this. So I can see why this didn't, why this had stopped blooming. And I've got this way too wet. I can tell that. But it says to take the old planting material off. So we are going to, this is kind of icky. And it's in kind of like a ball, like the roots grew around the outside of it. So we're going to take all of this off. I'm just going to put it inside that little pot there. The inside, well, the inside, this is moist too. Yeah, I probably have this way too wet, I'm sure, because orchids don't like it that wet. Now this has bloomed for me, I think 2 times since my husband gave it to me. And, oops, I can take the stakes out. But I was really disappointed that it didn't bloom this year. But I mean, I'm not an orchid expert, but I think that I can salvage this. Okay. Woo! Very dusty, very dusty. All right, so it says take the old stuff off, and then it says to trim off any roots that are dead. And I can definitely see everything. Look at that. All of those bottom roots are dead. The only ones that were alive were the ones that were outside of the soil. So I should have repotted this last year or 2 years ago. So I'm sorry. This stuff here is very dusty. Oh my goodness. You might want to wear a mask. Okay, so let's cut all this old stuff off. There's another one here. And I washed these before I started using these, and I wiped them down with alcohol. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of dry roots. Okay, and then we're gonna move this over out of the way. All right, so now I have this, and I'm going to see, I think if I can, whoops, hope I don't damage these. Let's see. Oops, we have one here that is kind of broken. I'm gonna go ahead and snip that one off. It's not kind of broken, it is broken. And these are probably way too long. I'm gonna trim these off too. They're not even gonna fit in the pot correctly. And this one has a brown spot up here. I'm going to trim that one back as well. Okay, so here we have our pot. I needed more room. And you will definitely, if you're doing this inside on a table or something, you're definitely going to want to lay something down, whether it's a towel, a tarp. This is an old tablecloth, but you're definitely going to want to lay something down. Okay, so you're going to start by putting some of the mix in the bottom of the container. And I'm just going to tear this moss apart a little bit more and start with that. And then we have stones, but you can see this is very, very chunky. Like, this isn't soil at all. This is stones and the bigger chunky stones and moss. And we're gonna add some more moss here. Let's see, do we think we can get that in there? We're gonna see. So normally when you repot an orchid, these roots here will be salvageable. Mine were not. I did bad and I did not repot this soon enough. So you would take the old stuff off and there would be roots hanging here, and then you would put in put some of the potting mix back in around this and then pot it. But I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to put the roots in here the best I can and as gently as I can. I've got another one that broke off. And I'm thinking, for as small as this is, if I trim these back, it's not going to hurt it at all. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that because I don't want them broken off. Okay. And then we're going to arrange the roots around the best we can. Here we go. And then we are going to fill in, and you can see some of the stones fell out of the holes on the side, but I think this pot is going to be much better. This pot, I thought it had better drainage than this, but it didn't. It just has one hole. I thought that it had much better drainage than that, so that was my fault. So let's add the rest of this mix around here, and I'm alternating between moss and the stones. I did some searching online to see, do all of the roots need to go under the soil? And actually they don't. One lady said it was fine if they were still sticking out. But of course you don't want them hanging over the pot like I had. That was just kind of a mess. Okay. And I am pressing this all down firmly. And I think, let's see, I'm going to put some more on here. I have plenty left. This is much drier than I was expecting. I was not expecting this to be this chunky and this stony. Okay, so there we go. I might put some more moss on top. Okay, and then we are going to water this. And it said to water it really well so that everything can settle down around the roots, and so it gets rid of the dust too. So I'm going to water this really well. The drainage on this pot is really, really good. So you don't have to worry about over watering it. And that orchid, I was only watering it like once every 2 to 3 weeks. and I would let it drain in the sink until it was completely dry and then put it back into the other pot. I think because those roots were rotten, it probably was not absorbing any of that water, and that's why it was sitting in water. So, but this one, I don't, because of these drainage holes and because this is clay, I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about that. So I'm gonna water this as soon as I am done, and then I will set it in the clay saucer. And I'm going to keep this in my bathroom. That's where I have been keeping it. I kept it in my bathroom. It's nice and humid in there from showers and things. It gets the right kind of light. And then when I start to see that it sends out a shoot with buds on it, then I move it into my dining room. So